All right, good morning, everyone. Well, as you know, it's Wednesday, and we are a day after the health committee meeting that took place on this bill AB 2223. Now, listen, I did some reading and I did some research on what this bill is all about. And look, I'm no legal expert, okay? I know that Pastor James has looked into it and discussed it at length. And he has a video that he did on this explaining the ins and the outs of AB 2223 and how bad this really is. And so, if you want to know that, look in the show notes. I'll ask to make sure that those are in the show notes. The link to that video on the basic rundown of 2223. There's a lot out there that you could look. I also recommend that you check out the Real Impact Ministry that comes out of Jack Hibbs Church. They have a lot of really great information on there. And, you can get their app and they detail all kinds of stuff like this. They're really doing a great job out there. So, here's the thing, okay? I think there's a lot of extra information out there, and people are confusing what this bill says. They're saying, "Oh, it was done to protect, this or to help out in the tough time for." Listen, we have to be very careful, okay? And the reason I say that is because all the time bills get passed into law and they're written in a certain way that is somewhat not as clear as it could be, okay, and not specific enough to just do the task that they were set out to do. They're written in such a way that it creates loopholes in the law, or it creates a path for people to do certain things that were never meant to be. I don't think that's the case with 2223. I think this bill is really evil. I think that it needs to be shut down. Even the concept that says that is driving this, that basically, there would be no accountability for the death of a baby after it's been born. There would be basically no investigation. There would be nothing. That is psycho. It couldn't be more psycho. I'm sorry. It's psycho. I'm appalled that this is even happening. And so to then do this smokescreen campaign and say, "Oh, well, it was for other reasons." No, I'm sorry. That's totally off and it's wrong. So that's a bunch of garbage. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of history. I don't know if history is the right word, but what was happening last night. If you didn't watch the men's study that happened at Calvary Chapel Signal Hill last night, it was pretty awesome. Take some time to watch that, or at least some parts of it, because with this all going down last night, Pastor James decided that he's going to go out and he's going to do something that really we've never done. Okay? And he's going to go out there. He's going to put the numbers out for the committee members, because what had happened is we had got word that only a certain number of the members on the committee had voted. And it was like 5-3 at the time. And these other committee members had chosen to abstain in their vote. So I say we because I'm part of Calvary Chapel Signal Hill, but Pastor James, he goes out and he says, "Okay, guys, it's time for action," basically. It's time to call these numbers and to leave a message. And so everybody, and he said at the same time, we're going to be praying. So everybody in the men's ministry last night, all of the guys that were there, Everybody's making phone calls. People are praying. Same things happening. People on, people in online. Who even knows? I hope they're days sorting out all of those phone calls and recording all of that information. I hope it takes them weeks, honestly. As a matter of fact, as evil as the California government is, I hope it shuts down the government for a little while, because I just can't believe this is really happening. But anyways, people are making calls. There's like just a mad dash to make calls, and man, it was pretty intense, actually. To be in it in the moment is pretty intense. Of course, I'm making phone calls and I'm trying to moderate and I'm doing all of this stuff all at once. I'm watching the votes happening at the same time. And as it moves forward, so they vote on all of the bills except for that one, AB 2223. They wait till the last. They're going to do that one last. And it's like they're going to vote and then they're all going to like just disappear. And that's exactly what they did. As a matter of fact, the vote happened so quick that when I was watching it, I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, okay, okay, this one, and then it was done, and then the thing just dropped. And I was like kind of stunned. I'm like, and I thought they knocked it down. And that's what other people thought. And I think it's because of the way that they voted on it. But anyways, I don't know. I mean, that's all public record. I'm sure we can go back and rewatch it at some point. Maybe not. I don't really know. But it was a roller coaster ride. But eventually we got word, no, they basically, there were 11 Democrats that voted for it, 3 Republicans that voted against it. And it doesn't mean it's becoming a law. It means now it's going to appropriations. And this is what we're talking about now. What's next? Okay. So at the next committee is the Appropriations Committee, and then I believe it goes to the House. But I'm not sure about that, if Appropriations is the very last committee. So anyways, I thought what I heard towards the end of that was them saying that they were going to have an Appropriations Committee vote on Tuesday. This is not solid 100% because there was a lot going on at the time. But in the next day or two, we're going to get all of the details about that. But what I do know is it is going to appropriations next. And so in the show notes on this show, we're going to have the link. At the minimum, we're going to have the California state government link to the Appropriations Committee. And it will show all of the members of the Appropriations Committee. And it will have their phone numbers. Those phone numbers are the phone numbers to their office. You'll see that they're all basically the same. Same area code. The first 3 digits will be the same. And then there'll be the last 4 digits, which will be, distinguished between the different offices. So unlike tonight, where we're basically in a mad dash scurry to get all those calls in, I think the best plan of attack here is to start making calls as soon as possible. And I say, let's start making calls tomorrow. And we should start flooding all of these government offices with the desire or the communication that says, look, do not vote for this. This is not good for California. It's not good for our society, and it needs to be struck down. And, Pastor James was saying, we'll remember in the next election cycle who voted for it. Whatever you say, it's always good to be respectful. And the reason that we say it's good to be respectful is because it's so easy for them to write you off as some sort of wacko or a nut job or something. They'd be like, yeah, whatever, I'm not writing this guy down. But we should start tomorrow, and we should start just filling up their voicemail, whatever it is. If you talk to a live person, tell them that you want it voted down. They should understand people do not want this bill to pass. Okay, say it's wrong. Listen. There's no doubt of how wrong this is and how bad this is. At the point we don't care about live babies dying, that's the point when really, I mean, our society is at its worst. Okay. So we really need to start that. But understand, I think as I was talking with Pastor James about this tonight, and what we were considering is we're going to start that. But the day before that committee meets to vote on this, that day before, we need to have like a solid run at this again, whatever it takes to get people, just like we did tonight, we need to do that again. We need to get tons of phone calls in the day before, and we need to hit it hard because this thing needs to be shut down. It is so evil and it's so bad. Okay. And of course, if it goes through the Appropriations Committee, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if it got through the Appropriations Committee. I don't think they're even going to think twice about it, except that they're going to get pounded by phone calls. That it literally is our only hope. But if it gets through, I think we might, when it goes to the House or whatever is next, every step of the way on this, we need to fight against it. There's just no option to let this go. Listen, you might be, I want to encourage everybody, okay? If you're thinking, well, I don't really feel comfortable, okay, I want to say this. Get over it. Just get over it. Okay? It's not that uncomfortable. Make the phone calls. It's not really that big of a deal. Okay? They have to treat you kindly. I mean, they're all they're doing is taking the information. There's people that are answering the phones, and that's it. And in the most of those cases, it's not even a person, it's just an answering machine. So don't sweat it. Make the phone calls. You might say, well, listen, this is spiritual warfare, okay? So I want you to stop and think for 1 minute about this. That all of those apprehensions and all of that stuff that's saying, well, maybe I shouldn't, listen, that's the enemy, man. The enemy has custom tailored this bill to destroy human life. Okay? So the part of this where you're apprehensive, you need to understand when you pick up that phone, you are engaging in spiritual warfare. Expect it to be an attack. Expect it to be a battle. Nobody gets into battle and says, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk, because that's not how battle works. It's not a cakewalk. And we're engaging here against something because we're advocating for human life. We're advocating for those that don't have somebody to step in and look after them, And so I just want to encourage you, okay, whatever that thought is, you scrap it. Just toss it out. Don't entertain it. Don't let it float around in your head, because honestly, you're going to miss out on just being a part of something that really needs to happen. And look, this is the place where we get involved. This is the place where the church stands up. This is the place. If people don't make these phone calls, then these politicians are not going to have any idea that there's a bunch of people out there that don't want anything, that don't think this should go through. And right now, I think the general opinion is, this is what the people want. Either that or they don't care. And that's a whole nother story, okay? I do want to say this. I think there is let's just say in some horrific future reality that this bill does actually pass. I hope that there's a process where we can dismantle it after that. But we definitely need to make note of everybody who has blood on their hands in regard to this bill. Okay? And I think we need to actually be very, very clear and well communicated on every single person that touched this for its furtherance. You know, anybody that voted for this bill, we need to really make it clear that these are people that are advocating in making it perfectly legal to allow a person to kill a child, basically, or neglect a child, let it die. And we need to fight this thing, even if we defeat this bill. Okay, we still need to make a note of those people. We shouldn't rest on our laurels. Those names of everybody that touched this and voted for a yes on it, every name needs to be well published. Those people need to be well circulated, because these people are literally trying to dismantle our society, everything about culture. And listen, I've talked about this before. I've had many conversations about this. The fabric of our society, the thing that really holds it together, the thing that holds any society ever together, is the family. You can go and you can say, well, you know, cities and government. Wrong. Okay, the government should be protecting the family unit, because at the base of society and the base of our culture are families. Okay, this is how our country continues to exist. When you dismantle that, when you throw out how God has designed a family and how God has said what a family is, you scrap that and you say, we don't care. Listen, it is not long after that that society falls to pieces. Okay, because that is the core of society. That is how God designed society. Look through the scripture and understand the backbone of all that was there was God protecting and preserving families, knitting families together to form communities, and all of that that is the design of God for human beings to exist on this planet. And when you start to really dismantle that, you are destroying society. Now, this thing that happened here, I mean, man alive, how far do we go? Like, this is the extreme end. You know, this is the point when babies are being killed. This is the point when we are, as a society, inviting God's judgment. We are really, really embracing evil, and we're embracing destruction. Okay, and it scares me. It scares me because the world doesn't understand the fear of God. It scares me because the world doesn't understand the power of God, and they don't understand that God is not going to just ignore the fact that babies are being murdered. It doesn't work like that. Okay, I'm fearful for the lost, because the deception and the lies that are going on right now are so strong, and they are so terrible that literally we are in the last days, as the scripture describes it, and it says people call good evil and evil good. We're there. People are literally doing this right now. Okay, we're seeing it on more than one topic. It's crazy. It's just like mind-boggling to me. So we, by standing up against this bill, we are also actually standing in the place where we're saying you need to understand that this is important to our culture and to our society. That, I mean, we cannot have this kind of blood on our hands. Honestly, to me, it is so disturbing that the idea and the concept of abortion is so commonplace in our society. That alone is terrifying to me. The fact that human beings have come up with this process to mechanically, look, it's worse than murder, to mechanically grind up an unborn child to its death inside of the womb of the mother. That is something out of a horror movie. It is like it's depravity to the extreme. Okay. Now, the thing is, the reality of what that process is and the reality of the implications of it are severely underplayed. And instead, the focus is on, oh, it's not a good time, or, you don't want the kid to be, to struggle because they don't have all of the opportunities, or there's this smoke screen. Okay. And that's what it is. It's a smoke screen. But every one of those procedures that are done, every time an unborn child is ground up, and I mean that's what happens. Okay, they're ground up, they're vacuumed up and ground up. Every time that happens, there is deep, intense, significant spiritual fallout. And it is such a destructive thing. I mean, already that is a terrifying amount of blood on the hands of these politicians. Again, I did a video on this. Listen, the day is going to come when these people have to make an account before God for the decisions that they've made, and especially these politicians. They're going to be there, and every one of these aborted babies are going to be there to witness the trial. They're going to be there to witness the judgment of the person that played a part in them being murdered before their birth. And that's a terrifying thing. And it's going to be a very somber scene. And listen, I mean, Hebrews says it's a terrifying thing to fall into the hands of the living God. You don't want to be in that place of receiving that judgment. It's just terrifying. People don't understand the gravity of what they're doing these days. Okay. And even the fact that this is being politicized, and this is something that our society is arguing about, I don't know. I think well, I have no words to explain or express just how terrifying this really is. I'm so fearful that people are going to be they're going to face God's judgment, and God will be just in judging them severely for these atrocities. So right now we have the chance to play a part, to fight against this insane corruption and evil. Okay, we have a time where we can fight. We can fight in a way that's very simple, that is making phone calls, that's being diligent, that's being in prayer, and we need to engage in this. So again, in the show notes, okay, that's what you're watching the screen right now. Down below that, there should be something that has a description or something. You click on that. That's going to open the show notes. And there you'll see a bunch of links and a bunch of different things. One of the things there is going to be at least a link to the committee that has the next vote. And when you click on that, it's going to open a website. It's either going to be the Real Impact website that has, different options, or it's going to be the California state government website that has all of the phone numbers. But, right after this show's done, please take the time to get in there and then call those numbers, call down that list, and light those people up so they understand that this is bad. It's detestable, right? And then stay plugged into this. We're going to talk about this again on Friday. Maybe even tomorrow we're going to talk about it's going to come up, because this is the time that it needs to get all of the attention that it can. We can't just let this slide by without actually doing something. So please take this very seriously. Take it so seriously, like this is life and death for your own child. You know what I mean? We need to look at it that way. We need to be that engaged on this. And I hope that not only does this help you to get involved with this, but there are other issues. This isn't the only thing that's going on in the world. So, when you hear about these things or dig into what's going on in the state that you're living in, if you're not in California, find out what they're going after and start getting involved. Start, tap into churches that are engaged in this stuff. Get involved in groups that are going to take these things on and deal with them, because I think it's so important that the world sees this is what a righteous viewpoint looks like. Whether they like it or not, they're going to see it, and we need to be the people to show it to them. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that this blesses you. I hope it helps you to get your head wrapped around what's happening next. Feel free to leave me a comment down in the comment section. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. That'd be great. And may God richly bless you.